Teamwork is the ability to work together toward a common vision, the ability to direct individual accomplishments toward organizational objectives. It is the fuel that allows common people to attain uncommon results. Andrew Carnegie. The case of Rashim Carter serves as a poignant example of the security risks faced by Black individuals in America. Carter's tragic death, characterized as a modern-day lynching by civil rights attorney Ben Crump, underscores the gravity of the threat posed by racial violence. Carter's family reported that he felt endangered and sought help from local authorities in Taylorsville, Mississippi, only to be turned away. This failure of the authorities to provide assistance not only highlights the systemic neglect of Black safety concerns, but also exacerbates feelings of vulnerability and mistrust within the community. The inability or refusal of authorities to intervene effectively in Carter's case reflects a broader pattern of institutional neglect and bias that undermines the security of Black people. Instances of police misconduct, racial profiling, and inadequate responses to reports of violence perpetuate a climate of fear and insecurity among African Americans. Moreover, the lack of accountability for such incidents erodes trust in law enforcement and exacerbates tensions between Black communities and the authorities sworn to protect them. The practice of gerrymandering presents a significant threat to the security and political representation of Black communities across the United States. By allowing partisan politicians to manipulate district boundaries to their advantage, gerrymandering undermines the foundational principle of democracy, that voters choose their representatives. In states such as North Carolina, Texas, and beyond, Republicans have exploited their control over the redistricting process to consolidate power and dilute the voices of minority voters, particularly Black and Hispanic communities, effectively disenfranchising Democratic voters and perpetuating their majority in the state. By cracking Democratic-leaning areas into multiple heavily grouped districts and diluting the influence of Black voters, Republicans ensure their continued dominance in state politics. Similarly, in Texas, Republicans have manipulated district boundaries to suppress the growing influence of Democratic-leaning Hispanic communities, undermining the democratic principle of fair representation. The consequences of gerrymandering extend far beyond the political sphere, posing grave security risks to marginalized communities. By undermining the political power of Black voters, gerrymandering perpetuates systemic inequalities and reinforces racial discrimination. Moreover, the erosion of trust in democratic institutions and the disenfranchisement of minority communities can fuel social unrest and undermine public safety. As such, addressing the insidious effects of gerrymandering is essential for safeguarding the security and well-being of Black communities and ensuring the integrity of American democracy. The intersection between political disenfranchisement and Rashim Carter's story highlights the systemic injustices faced by Black communities in the United States. Gerrymandering, as exemplified in North Carolina and Texas, is a deliberate tactic used by partisan politicians to manipulate electoral districts, dilute the voting power of minority groups, and perpetuate their own political dominance. In Carter's case, the failure of authorities to provide assistance and address his concerns reflects a broader pattern of institutional neglect and bias that undermines the security and well-being of Black individuals. Carter's tragic death underscores the consequences of political disenfranchisement and racial discrimination, as he felt endangered and sought help from law enforcement, only to be turned away. The refusal of authorities to intervene effectively highlights the erosion of trust in democratic institutions and the systemic barriers that prevent Black individuals from accessing justice and equal protection under the law. Just as gerrymandering diminishes the political agency of Black voters, the failure to address Carter's concerns reflects a disregard for the safety and security of Black lives. Moreover, the disparities in political representation and access to resources exacerbate the vulnerabilities faced by Black communities, contributing to heightened levels of violence and insecurity. Gerrymandering, by concentrating political power in the hands of a privileged few, perpetuates systemic inequalities and reinforces racial discrimination, making it difficult for marginalized individuals like Carter to seek recourse and protection. The parallels between Carter's experience and the broader pattern of political disenfranchisement underscore the urgent need for collective action and advocacy to dismantle systemic barriers. Addressing these injustices requires not only reforms to the electoral system, but also commitment to dismantling systemic racism and inequality in all its forms. Only through collective action and solidarity can we create a more just and equitable society where the rights and dignity of all individuals are upheld and protected. If you found this content informative, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to our channel. Thank you for being a part of our community.